Welcome to Security Architecture Podcast, where we help cybersecurity professionals to stay ahead of the curve and ensure they are successful in their cybersecurity journey.
Hi, I'm Evgeny.
I'm Dimitri.
If you don't know, this is month of October, and month of October is where we do security awareness in cybersecurity. We have a pleasure to have Gabi here from Wizer Training to tell us about what they do in the company and help their customers with security awareness. Gabi, can you please tell us about yourself and what your company does?
Absolutely. My name is Gabi. I'm the founder of Wizer. A little bit of background about myself. I've been in the cybersecurity domain for many years. I'm originally from Israel. I started a company about 14 years ago, something like that, called ObserveIT, which we later sold to ProofPoint. It dealt with insider threats. So I've been around people's behavior for a long time. And after I sold the company, I was hanging out with friends and my family, and I realized that I was preaching companies all day long, but when it comes to my own family, they're almost clueless about basic security things. And that's, when it hit me that as an industry, we haven't been doing enough to educate the regular person. And that's when I started Wizer. I thought to myself, it's time for us to consumerize security awareness, to bring it down to a level that we talk natural language with people, would deliver content the way they consume it online, meaning short and to the point, they have short attention span. And the idea started with that concept that we need to educate the masses. And we actually started with providing a solution, a security awareness solution, a full-blown security awareness solution that was totally free. We didn't even have a pricing option. You couldn't buy anything. We had the campaigns for free, the videos for free, tracking user progress. So any company can sign up and just use it. And we made sure that our content is better than anything out there. It's about 7-8 months later that we added phishing simulation and compliance training like HIPAA, CCPA, GDPR, where we provided the Boost option, which is a paid option. And that's basically the two offerings that we have today. The free, which is still huge. We have about 10,000 organizations that are using the free version, and we're very happy, and we're encouraging people and businesses to use it. And we also have the paid version, and we've crossed over 500 paying customers on the premium version. So that's sort of like a nutshell about me and Wizer.
I guess my first question, do you think there is a better way to train users, and should we blame the users all the time?
First of all, let's talk about what a victim is. I think when somebody is a victim in the physical world, we don't go blame them. Usually, we don't automatically blame them. In the cyber world, it's sort of like we blame them, and I think that creates shaming. And that's also the reason why a lot of times people don't come forward and they don't talk about it and they don't share what happened to them. But being a victim is a mindset. A lot of people are just not aware, and cyber criminals are very, very sophisticated. And many ways, people have vulnerabilities in their life, whether it's they need love, they need money, whatever it is. So if you hit that point, they respond and they fall for those scams. What I think didn't work up until now is that we were talking geek language to ordinary people. We were geeking them out, all type of language that they just didn't get. And they even the word cybersecurity, it's something that people feel is not related to them. Like cybersecurity, if you ask my mom, it's like a high-paying job. Cybersecurity is not for her. We need to use like language, being scammed versus being hacked, stuff that people understand. And there is a way to do that. I think we should tone it down. We should stick to that 1 minute range because it works. Look at TikTok, look at Instagram stories. So if you keep it short, you create emotional hooks that lead people to actually listen, and you make it relevant to them. You talk about things that what's in it for me as an individual person. Once you hit those personal pain points, you keep it short and you keep it entertaining in a 1 minute time frame, then people listen and people love that, and people share our videos and they go viral online. LinkedIn, they go viral and people share them all day long. And we post some of them on TikTok and other places, basically where people hang out. That's where we want to be.
Tell us a story about how your technology helped.
We have a lot of successful stories, starting from not about the technology, but more about, the business model. Let's start with companies that are too small for many of the existing vendors in terms of being a potential customer. Unfortunately, in this industry, whether it's startups, they want to sell to big companies because they want to make a lot of money, right? Sales guys want to sell lots of money. And what happens is a lot of companies limit the amount of employees that they almost allow their salespeople to approach. So what happens is that we have a lot of companies that have 10, 15 employees, 30 employees, this is the biggest part of the businesses in America. And unfortunately, they're not served. Even if there is a pricing option for them, nobody cares about them enough to actually support them and help them. So the fact that we have the free version and we have a business model that allows to buy even single licenses, have dentist office that have maybe 2 doctors over there, pricing model that fits starting from 1 up to hundreds of thousands. And we have customers as small as 1 employee and some that have over 100,000. That flexibility, I think, allows the success of educating people, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, some great technologies that are out there are not accessible to just small businesses. And I honestly don't get it. Like, I'm actually upset that vendors that have great technology don't opt out from selling to smaller businesses. So that's just one success story that I'm mostly proud of. It's not a technology one, but the fact that we're making education available for everyone. I don't know if that exactly answered your question. I just think what's technology if you can't use it, right? Like, you can have the best technology in the world, but if almost all businesses in America can't use it, then what's the point?
So Gabi, I have a question to you. You said that anyone can educate themselves about cybersecurity and learn how to protect themselves while they are online. However, it usually takes a time commitment to do that, right? And doing your day-to-day job, you're busy with that. How long it takes to, get through the materials and really understand, right? Like how long it takes from your focus time on the topic to get to a level you kind of feel yourself confident in your knowledge.
Yeah. So here is the thing, talking about awareness versus skill. Skill is when you want to learn the program, and then it takes a lot of effort. Here we're talking about raising awareness most. So, and unfortunately, there's so many ways to trick you, but the more you learn, the more you are aware and the more you are protected. So there's no one level. Like, even if you learn one thing, then you are, I wouldn't say immune, but you're less likely to be scammed using that technique. I'll give you an example, something that I like to use because it just demonstrates how you can tell a story and people will listen because it's relatable to them, but it actually works the same in business. It's something actually personal that happened to me. So my kid came back from school and she told me that basically the entire grade was hacked on Instagram. And I how did that happen? And she said she got a DM from her friend. It was actually her friend DMing her. And she said, "Oh my God, I saw that you were on the top ugly list at school." And my kid "What do you mean?" She said, "Here's the link." She clicked on the link. She had a sign up page, Instagram. She signed up. Obviously, it was a phishing page. Her account was taken over. And from there, they continued to do the same to her friends. And basically, she was part of a chain. That's how they basically got to the entire grade. Now, if you think about this example, that's something, first of all, that you would probably listen and you would tell your kids about. You can take that home and say, hey, I heard that this is something that happened. You have to be careful. Somebody can hack your friend's account. You never really know who's on the other side of that chat. Even if you see their name, you never know. But think about it. That's applicable to business as well. It's the same attack surface. What stops somebody from pretending to text you like your boss? Sometimes you don't even have their number. You never really know who's on the other side of that communication, where it's email. A lot of wire fraud are happening like that. You hack a vendor, and the vendor now sends you a new invoice with account number that you need to pay to, which is different from the old one. They're asking to change the bank account info. And you look at the email and you see that it's from the actual vendor, right? Like 100%, because their account was hacked. It's the same thing. So if you tell the story that is relatable to someone, first of all, they listen. Then you tell them, you remember this story? Look how this works the same for wire fraud. Now you take those two things together, and they remember, because it was interesting and it was something that they can take home. They can maybe practice by telling their kids about it. So now they talk about it. The fact that they talk about it makes them remember this for longer, and then they can apply that also for work. This is just one example of how you connect those dots and how you become more clever and more aware. And just one example can be applicable to so many things. So you don't really have to finish the entire training to be aware. I usually like to take it step by step throughout the year. Some people like to do it once a year. Let's say, beginning of the year, here's like half an hour, an hour. It really depends on the organization. I like to have continuous training just to keep that awareness always going. And a lot of things are always happening. And fortunately, you don't have to be a master. You don't to start being aware. You just need to be interested, and it has to be relevant to you, and you are aware from the first story almost.
Okay, that's interesting point of view, definitely. So what you're saying is that some people would do it once and they will invest a couple hours to become aware. Some people will do it continuously, once a month, once a quarter.
Yeah, I think it has to be continuous. Yeah, even if you do it once a year, you still want to do it continuously, because that's how we remember. The fact that we go back to the material and listen to it again, you have to have those touch points throughout the year.
Yeah, but I would agree with you that if you're not practicing it, you remember it less. And
exactly.
That's a fact. One of the questions that I want to learn, as we all know, in the cyber criminal world, the tactics and the approaches and the innovation is very advanced in a way how we all been attacked.
Mm-hmm.
How often you updating the content to reflect the latest advancement?
Oh, wow. On a weekly basis. Like every week we upload new content. So because we talk to victims, and we have, unfortunately, there are too many. So we're almost like a media company to some degree. Content is the main thing. It's not the features. It's sort of like, if you think about Netflix, it's not about what's the difference between Netflix and Hulu? It's not the remote. It's the shows you have in it. We have to continuously update. And I think one example of we're talking about this advanced techniques, I shared a video recently on LinkedIn. Here was the story. It started from a dating site and ended up in ransomware, in a huge ransomware. So the guy met a girl on a dating site, and he saw on her profile she was 18, spoke to her a little bit. They sent each other inappropriate pictures. And about a week later, from the same number, her dad basically talked to him and said that he's a creep and that he's going to go to the police. That guy freaked out, and he told him that he wants him to pay $5,000 or something like that. He didn't have that money. He was I think like 21 or something. So basically what happened at the end of the day, they blackmailed him and got him to a point where from his work email, he downloaded a chat app so they can continue to chat, and that caused the business to be infected with ransomware. Here is an attack that started from a dating app and ended up as ransomware for a company. We don't usually connect those dots. And I think what happens with work from home, with people on social media so much, criminals are becoming more creative. They understand that they need to get to the person, and they found different ways to get to them. And we have to educate them on this thing. So every time I hear a story about a victim, We take that, we try to figure out the learning points and the key takeaways, and we just push it out because we have to. By the way, not only the employees, but also the companies, they don't think how a dating thing can end up a ransomware on their company. The education is across the board, and you have to keep on doing that.
What's your take on deepfake?
So we're seeing deepfake in dating apps, and because you can't reverse the image. So you have synthetic identities, you have deepfake in terms of not only synthetic identities, but also you can impersonate somebody you know to a level that is frightening. Whether it's voice cloning, doesn't even have to be like visual. You have voice cloning where you talk to somebody. And here is another story with deepfake that this girl granddad got a call from a lawyer that his granddaughter is in jail and that he needs to pay money in order to get her out of there. And he said, I don't believe you. I want to talk to my granddaughter. So they put her on the phone. And later, obviously it was scam. And later he said, look, she sounded like her, like exactly she sounded like her. Not only that, she knew how to refer to me. It wasn't like Papa, it was Pop. She knew things about me. And that's sort of a mix of things that people can find on social media, me and my Pop, and then with voice cloning. And you take those two things together and you call a family member, you sound legit, you use terms that you use inside the family. That's scary, and it's just becoming so hard to detect. You can bring people from the dead. Microsoft had a patent about it, bringing people from the dead, creating bots that actually are able to chat as if they take the social profiles of people, they learn using machine learning and AI, and they continue to talk to you as if you're that person. So you have a bot communicating and using terms. That's like...
So I have a question about not scary thing. We just spent 20 minutes talking about scary thing. Tell us positive, tell us good stories, tell us how people came back, say, Gabi, oh my God, we did this, we learned this video, we watched this video, and our mind changed. We learned something new. Tell us good stories.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about this, because I get, and that's not only customers, right? I talk a lot on social media, and I'm getting so many people reaching out to me and talking about how being aware saved their parents and how they shared it with their parents and how they avoided getting attacked. So that's like the daily, we are in crime. So there's two sides to the coin, right? On the one hand, you do tell them the story so they will be aware. But on the other hand, we get so many thank you notes and people that are just happy with not being a victim, because being a victim, unfortunately, is almost inevitable if you are not aware. And when people are aware, suddenly they see that and they come to me and say, hey, and they share with me all the time. That's why I get so many stories, because people are aware and then they send it to me. They send me those stories all the time long. Hey, look at this. I got this. So I'm like, I have tons of, that's why I can do every week at least a video, because people don't stop sharing with me those stories, because once they are more aware, they feel almost that it's the responsible thing to do, to share the things they saw so others can avoid it.
Gabriel, I have a question. How are you addressing different type of audience for the security awareness? Right, it might be kids, it might be accountants, it might be IT personnel, it might be doctors. I guess different people need different approach.
Yes, so absolutely. So we created a section for kids, a section for employees, we call it, and a section for elderly people. And this is sort of like the main buckets that we look at, because they usually use also, for example, elderly people, usually, it's funny, but in many cases, they trust a phone more than they trust email. When it's an email, they are very suspicious, but when it's over on the phone, because that's what they used to when they were younger. Phone was the main communication. If somebody's calling you, then it's important. Nobody just calls you. But again, they're getting hit with everything. That's why the jail scam is over the phone. It's more for elderly people. We have different type of content for them. Still, we touch everything, but we understand that attack vector. For kids, we talk about TikTok, Instagram, and all of that. And we have guides that we created for kids, and we have for parents, we put that in the same bucket. And then we have for everyday person, we have just the snappy videos, because regardless how young or old you are, people want that short and to the point. I think that's across the board. That's not something that I've seen. I didn't see like specific users that ask us, can you do it longer? I've never got that. Can you do it longer? But for the family editions, we have 15 seconds videos, which is crazy. How do you think it's impossible, but check it out on our website. We have the family edition. Some of our videos are 15 seconds. And if you think, how can this happen? Just think about all the advertisers that are able to convince you to buy something in 15 seconds. We can also do that.
Gabi, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Gabi.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I hope to do this again.
Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and join us for our next episode.